Dustin, Jim Tressel gets a big honor, a ring of honor.
Incredible.
For the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, you played with him and winning the national championship. What are some things, some really cool stuff about, how does this, hit you, and some thoughts about Jim Tressel and kind of his legacy?
Well, it's always cool to see and have these memories of the times we shared at Ohio State, and now to be able to go back to the Horseshoe and see his name up there next to Woody Hayes, and in the Ring of Honor is pretty special. It's cool to see our team 2002 up there as a national champion. It's cool to see Troy Smith's name up there, somebody I played with, the Heisman Trophy winner. But now to see Coach Tressel's name up there forever is like really, really special. Very well deserved. Honestly, Coach Tressel has had probably the greatest impact of any coach I've ever had in my life, on me personally and on my friends, my teammates. What an unbelievable. And I say this all the time about Coach Tressel, and you said it as we went to break, like off air. It's crazy that you think back to when he was essentially he was fired for the tattoo scandal, which is so crazy to think about now compared to where we are in the landscape of college football and how many things that are so much bigger than that aren't even talked about anymore. But no, I mean, my greatest takeaway from Coach Tressel were my memories of being recruited by him when I didn't even know who he was, outside of this, Division I AA, FCS coach at Youngstown State who won a bunch of national championships. But when he got to Ohio State, I was his first recruit. I remember when he got hired, and I was, we didn't have cell phones back then. This is in 2001.
Yeah.
Right. And he had that great speech at the Michigan game, and he said in 310 days in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He didn't declare a win, but he said, "You'll be proud of your young Buckeyes," which in most Buckeye fans' minds was a declaration of a victory to come. And obviously, we got the job done that year. We didn't have a great season, but we definitely, turned the corner against the Wolverines in that win in 01. But he called me after that speech from the arena and essentially, said, "I need you to be a Buckeye." And it was almost at that moment that I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like, I just watched this on TV. I think the game was like on ESPN or Big Ten Network or whatever it was.
ESPN.
And I watched it, and I'm like, this is crazy. He just
move.
called me. Like my house phone rang, and he's in the arena. And that was a special moment. But there's just so many stories that I could talk about throughout, my time playing for him. But, what you see is what you get. And there's not many people that I've met in my life where I've truly been able to speak to someone's character and to know their heart and to know how genuine they are as a person. Jason, you covered him when I was playing and for quite a while when you were, in your early portions of your journalism career. And so I'm sure you can attest to some of his high character, but gosh, I mean, he's special. I mean, he's a one of one, and to have his name next to Woody Hayes is, I mean, well deserved. What the man does in terms of like his ability to connect with young people, his ability to motivate, to encourage, to inspire, to give. I mean, he is a true servant of people, and I've learned so many great values from him that I carry on to this day, that my family sees, on a daily basis, that I wouldn't have if I had not been able to be, a part of that team, those teams, and to have him as a leader, even the way that I talk to my son, a lot of the things that I say to other young people probably come from Coach Tressel. And I guarantee you, if you asked any of my teammates that played for Coach Tressel, whether it be somebody that played with, I was there 01 to 04, but even guys that played with him all the way until, what was it, 2010 or 2011 when he stepped down, would probably say the exact same thing. I mean, what you see is what you get. The most honest, high integrity guy you're going to meet, and just unbelievable.
We got 1 minute, a minute and a half. I said yesterday, he was so good at recruiting the state of Ohio. He put up borders around Ohio, and you said you got the call first. How was he able to shut off the pipeline to Michigan? Because Ohio lost so many great players to Michigan. How was he able to border off the state and make sure that all of the top talent in Ohio went to Ohio State?
I just think that he got players immediately that understood like how important it was to be from Ohio, to play for Ohio State. And I think about like my recruiting class, which was very small, you know, but it was guys like myself, like Maurice Hall, you know, Simon Frazier,
Yep.
guys that understood what it meant. And then the next year, his second recruiting class was highlighted by Bobby Carpenter, AJ Hawk,
Yep.
and guys like that, you know, that really understood what it meant to be a Buckeye. And so he set the culture early by getting the right guys in there. I mean, my whole family played for Ohio State, so I understood what it meant to be a Buckeye. And then what he also did is he got the best players in Ohio, but then he took like the best 2 or 3 from like Florida and California.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't like go to those states immediately. Like he got Ohio first, and then got the Chris Gambles, got the Santonio Holmes of the world, the Michael Jenkins, you name it, and it worked.